I'm Daniel, the Past Life Regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy each of your time.
Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. You know what? Today I'm just going to keep it really short, sweet, and simple. If there's something you want to do, go for it. If your heart is calling out to you to go for something, go for it. That's what today's episode is all about. Going for it. So my 2 cents is, just go for it. And with that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram at the Past Life Regressionist or at my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. Asia, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Daniels. Thanks for having me.
Asia, also known as the Quantum Canadian.
Yes.
The Quantum Canadian, also known as Asia Johnston.
Yes, that's me.
From Edmonton, Canada, right? Or Edmonton, Alberta.
Yeah.
Okay. Just getting my bearings straight on that one. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here and share with everyone here today.
So, you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I am a past life regressionist, just like Daniel. I do QHHT and also my own sort of technique that I call past life hypnosis. And so I carry out these sessions, help people out. And I'm also a very avid spiritual learner and just seeker, I guess. I don't like to use the word seeker because if you are really in depth with spirituality, you know that there is no seeking, that it all is right there within you. But I'll say spiritual seeker just for now. Yeah, so my life is kind of centered around these things, and it's been an amazing process and really taken me for a ride, and it's been wonderful. So, yeah.
Yay! So, for everyone listening, the reason why I wanted to have Asia on, other than that she's just really cool to talk to, is Asia is, I guess, what you would say on the younger side for practitioners.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And you're 19, correct?
Yes, 19.
And I think it is so cool that you have jumped into this work at your age. So yeah, the reason I wanted to have you on is because I have a lot of clients who are in their early 20s, mid 20s, and even some into their late 20s who will say to me, you know, I really want to do X, Y, or Z in the spiritual community, whether it be past life regression or Reiki or a spiritual coach or any of those types of things. But they'll say like, but I'm so young, so who's going to take me seriously? Age ain't nothing but a number, because there are lots of people who are double my age who age ain't nothing but a number. That's all I'll say for that one. But then, of course, there are people who are double my age who are very wise. So age ain't nothing but a number. And I want everyone to see that age doesn't matter. If you feel inclined to go for it, just like you've done. So I want everyone to hear about your experience with that and what brought you to this place where you're like, yeah, I'm 19, but you got certified at 18, right?
Yeah, I had just turned 18 when I got certified, yeah.
So at 18, you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm 18. So what? I'm going for it. And I just have such respect for you taking that leap. And I think you're an inspiration, and that you really are showing everyone that age ain't nothing but a number, and that if you want something, to go for it. So let's talk about that. Why did you decide to become a practitioner?
Yeah, well, thank you, Daniel, for your kind words with that. When I was just getting into the QHHT there, or just at that time in my life, I was sort of lost. I had no idea of where I wanted to go, what I wanted to be. what I was, who I was. So it was kind of just floating around and floating through my life, but always knowing that there's something more, there's something that's coming. Didn't know what it was, but was kind of just in that process of letting that unfold. So I think about a year, or maybe it was around a year and a half before I got into QHHT, that's kind of when I started getting into spirituality and the teachings and practices in spirituality. And so over that course of time, I was learning a lot about the deeper aspects of life. I came from growing up in a Christian school growing up, which had kind of introduced me to faith and to the idea that there's something more to life. But if you're familiar with being in a religion, then you know that there's always those questions that it never really answers. So when I started to get older growing up in school, those questions just started to bother me a little bit more and a little bit more. And naturally, life kind of just took its course. And my mom had started getting into spirituality, and she had started sharing all these ideas with me. And I just happened to be a sponge for this information because I had no previous ideas about what life was like. So I very quickly I was very interested in what she was saying. At first I was resistant. I won't say I was just like totally sold the very first second. I was resistant because a lot of it sounded like woo woo. What is this? And I didn't have any basis for it. It was just random to me at the time. But, as time went on, I started to get more and more interested in it, started to do my own seeking in spirituality. And that kind of just took me along through that year and a half before I had started reading one of Dolores Cannon's books. So if you don't know Dolores Cannon, she's the creator of QHHT, the past life regression technique that both Daniel and I use. So I started reading one of her books, and it kind of just flipped my life right upside down. What it did, I would say, it just opened my mind to so many other possibilities and just swept me off my feet. Like all those phrases you can use for mind blown, swept off my feet, all those phrases, it all happened around that time. And my partner at the time, he started to suggest just subtly, hey, why don't you learn this technique? Why don't you look into it? Because I had shown such a great interest in it. And at first, of course, I was very resistant, hesitant, like, no, I can't do that. What are you talking about? There's no way I can get into this stuff. And all the self-doubt with that too. Like, how can I be someone like that? But, as I looked into it more, and as I would just I was looking at my life too, seeing that, hey, I don't really have anything to lose by doing something like this. Actually, it seems like I would only have things to gain from it. So after that reflection I had, that really kind of pushed me off the edge. And at the time, it felt like just a jump into this abyss of unknown.
Oh, well, thank you for that. So next question. What would you say some of the difficulties are as a younger practitioner?
Well, when I first got into QHHT, it was a little bit intimidating because, being so young and seeing what everyone else around my age was doing, going into universities and starting full-time jobs and all these things. And then me kind of going into this unknown world was a little bit intimidating, and was definitely something I had to overcome in myself, that fear of failure, or fear of not being the best that I can be in this field. That was probably one challenge. And coming into the QHHT community, there is majority of a older population, like I'm not meaning elderly old, I'm meaning just older than me. So usually, like, I think 30 and up is the majority age group that's practicing QHHT. So not having as many people that are young like me and had the same feelings I had coming into it. That was something I had to overcome. It was fears that kind of everyone deals with when they're younger, like not knowing who they are, not feeling confident in who they are, not knowing what they're doing. And as you get older, that I feel like for a lot of people that does kind of go away. You start to just embrace yourself more and more, because you're living with yourself. As you age, you kind of have to get used to yourself. I kind of observed that in a lot of the older practitioners, was they had this confidence in them that I didn't feel like I had in the start. And that seemed like it was a little intimidating, but more just, it kind of encouraged me just to be like that, I guess, too, to look at it in a more positive way. I felt like, oh, wow, these practitioners they're doing this. They're so awesome. I can do that. And just encouraging, empowering myself, even though I felt like I couldn't at the time. But yeah, I have worked on those things. And, sometimes those things do come up again, those insecurities, but I remind myself of what I am. I empower myself, and it's been working. It's been really amazing. So, yeah.
I'm about double your age. Well, not quite. I still feel that way too a lot of the time.
Yeah.
A lot of those practitioners too, I can't speak on their behalf, but it may be the image that they project when inside they may be like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I'm doing, which is okay. Because I think projecting confidence can bring confidence at the same time. But sometimes projecting confidence is just a smokescreen. So it's okay. I mean, if anything, I think it's amazing that you're getting in so early, because then when you get to that point, like, oh my God, wherever you're going to be at 30 with all this, it's just, I mean, light years beyond where I was, because I started when I was 30 when I got certified. So, you put me at 30 next to Asia at 30, I'll just be like looking up. Like, oh my God, like she's at the top of the mountain right now. So like, it's so cool that you're getting in so early and finding who you are as a practitioner and learning about yourself and the world around you in the process. Mm-hmm. What was coming up for me while you were speaking is I feel that I'm good at working with clients who are, I think my youngest client has been, I want to say 20, but I think that you have this ability that I don't, as someone, in my mid 30s, to really get where they're coming from. Because I can put myself in my shoes when I was, say, 20 or 21, but the world was a different place when I was that age. Mm-hmm. I mean, social media was still in its infancy for the most part. So I didn't have all that to contend with. So I don't understand what it's like to be a 20-year-old or 21-year-old, even a 25-year-old in this day and age.
Yeah.
So I think that you're uniquely positioned to be an amazing practitioner for that age group. And of course, for older practitioners as well. Mm-hmm. Not older practitioners, but older clients as well. Because I think anyone listening to this point will be able to pick up on the fact that you have some wisdom behind your words. So I'm not just talking to a 19-year-old right now, maybe in an earth body, but you're coming in with a lot of wisdom. I mean, I'm also speaking to those other people who are considering going into anything in this field or another field. You have a unique opportunity to reach a group that most of us can't, or that won't feel as comfortable with us as they would with you. So before we get into the really cool stuff, I would say, what would be your advice for someone who is in their late teens or early 20s or mid 20s, or even up to their early 30s, who think that they're too young to get into this line of work? What would you say to them?
I mean, I think you said it best, that age is just a number, that who and what you are is so much more than this human body, the age you are, the name you are, the place you live. There's nothing that can limit you from what you want. And I mean, the only thing that can limit you is the ideas you feel like are limiting you, the things that you limit yourself from doing. So if you're younger, I would say to become in touch with yourself and find out what it is you want. What do you want to do in your life? What do you want your life to be? And if you can get an idea from the answers to those questions, then do whatever you can to make that your reality. If there's action needed, or if there's beliefs you need to heal or look into, just don't ever feel defeated because of where you came from, where you're going, your age, your name, all those things. You can do anything that you want. You just need to believe that.
Boom. Drop that mic. So now, for all of those of you who are on the younger side in this incarnation right now, this next part is really for you. So Asia, let's talk about some of the really cool experiences that you had as a practitioner. Let's show everyone what it can be like if they decide to go for it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. What comes up for you with that question?
Aside from all the amazing things that have come through in the sessions I've hosted with clients, just the growth I've had in myself has been probably one of the best.
Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. Like,
Well,
we'll get to the growth aspect.
Okay.
Come on. This stuff, the cool stuff. You know what I'm talking about with that one. We'll get to the growth thing.
Yes, I know what you mean. I just wanted to put that right there, just because that's what I feel is the best. But the cool experiences that have happened in the sessions, when I was doing my internship, which is the initial portion of completing, you need to complete these certain amount of sessions. So as I was doing this internship, the sessions I had in that initial period kind of just knocked me off my feet. It was like session after session, just past lives that were literally out of this world. I think one of the sessions I had, the woman, she was a psychic. And right away now, every time I have a session with a psychic, I know there's going to be some really interesting stuff because they're already in touch with so much more, that these past life sessions are usually very profound.
So she was a psychic in this life, in this incarnation. Okay.
Yes. And we had a session and she regressed, or I guess I don't even know if it was a regression or just to a parallel timeline or something, but she had gone to this council. I think it was, I can't remember what the number was. I think it was a council of 9 or something of that sort. Anyways, this council, apparently each being in this council had a different role in taking care of, I can't remember if it was this like solar system or just Earth. It was a council over some galactic system. I'm pretty sure it was Earth, so I'm going to go with that. But each being in this council had a different role in taking care of the Earth. Like one being would be in charge of the DNA of humans and making sure that it's kept up and in alignment in the human DNA. And then another person would be in like looking over the environment as a whole on the Earth, or and just maintaining harmony or just monitoring that. But essentially it's like each being was kind of just watching and making sure each part was in balance and working and harmonious. And it was crazy, the things she was talking about. This was quite a while ago, so I can't remember every detail from the session, but because I was just starting, I think it was like my 6th or 7th session I had ever done. And then all this crazy information was coming through. It was just like, wow, I can't even believe this is happening right now. But it was happening. It was recorded and it is in the books. So yeah, she came out too of the hypnosis in that session, and she's like, wow, that was awesome. Like she said she had always felt like she belonged to something bigger. And so coming and realizing this counsel, it was like, oh, okay, that's why I have that feeling. It really resonated with her. So yeah, that was a really cool one. And what I also love about these sessions too is just how unique the messages can be from the subconscious or the higher self. So you'll go into a past life and it may seem like something regular is going on, like they're going for a walk here, they're witnessing this thing that seems to have no significance. And then you go and connect to the higher self and you ask, okay, why'd you show them this scene? What is the meaning? And the meaning is just like, so it connects to their current life always, but
Always.
it's like, it's like, how do you even make this connection? How did this higher self, this intelligence, create this scene that seems like nothing's going on and make it so to the point of like this one message that the client needs to hear? I want to give like an example to make that more clear, because I know that was kind of vague, but do you have an example, Daniel, that you could give to describe that a little more?
Sure. Let's go with a simple one. Well, I'll just say like my experience with that is about, I'd say maybe 2/3 of the time, I'll pick up on what the theme is. And then when the higher self talks about at the end, like why they were, or my client was shown the lives that they were shown, like, yeah, okay, I saw that. And then there's that third of the time where I'm like, oh, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes much more sense than what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it always makes sense, like always. And a lot of times I'll even have clients in the session saying, well, I don't understand this right now. Because before the session, I always say to them, just trust whatever comes through. It will all make sense at the end. Like it will all make sense. And they say, I don't get it right now. I'm like, it's okay. It will all make sense. Just enjoy the experience, report to me what you're seeing. It will all make sense at the end.
Yeah.
I had a session recently. I think it was a couple months ago. I'm trying to think. Wait, why did that one pop into my mind? Well, it wasn't one I did yesterday. This is like when it gets hard. I can remember the first sessions I did. I remember like every detail of them, but the ones I did in this last week, they become very fuzzy.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there was one. I want to say she was shown 3 or 4 different lives, and they were very different.
Mm-hmm.
But the common thread was matters of the heart.
Oh, yeah.
So one life was when she was taking supplies to a child who was living, I want to say, was alone in a house, or there was someone else there with him who really wasn't doing a good job taking care of the child. And so she was taking care of the child because I think the father was in jail. This was, probably a couple 100 years ago. And then another life when she was an Arabian king, but was just void of, none of a soul necessarily, but was just lacking love and empathy. And I can't remember the other two right now, but the common theme there was just, they were all about matters of the heart and how it related to her in this life about opening her heart.
Mm-hmm.
And how, for that first one, just showing how the act of bringing something to someone out of the kindness of their heart. And then the other life where this king had everything in a tangible sense, but there was no love there. The matters of the heart were just void. So yeah, what the higher self said at the end of the session was, it was about matters of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
I probably could have picked other ones. But
yeah,
that's the first
no,
one that
that's
came to
good.
mind.
Yeah, those are good. It's like the things that you're shown in the session, whether it is a past life or whether it's parallel life or whatever it is, it always has this deeper meaning that is completely relevant and connected to you and only you. And that's what's so interesting about it. Is like, yes, we get to explore these scenes, these past lives, and that's awesome that you can know that. But I'm almost more interested in just hearing the deeper meaning why you're being shown these lives. Like, that's what's most interesting to me, is like, you're going to receive all your answers in this session, and they may very well come through just these scenes. I may not even have to directly ask all your questions. Sometimes these past lives just point you to the answer right then and there. And it's awesome. Yeah.
Like one that just came up for me right now is actually my own sessions, because I still have my own every 2 to 3 months. And I've been shown lives for about the last year that have been about when I've been in positions of visibility and how I've handled myself in those positions of visibility. And while these lives, because I'm usually in my sessions, I'm usually shown 1 or 2 lives at a time. So yeah, in that last year, I probably had 4 or 5 sessions. And the lives are always very different. I mean, just completely different circumstances, different locations, different times. But the higher self will say, it's a matter of me seeing where I acted with integrity and where I acted out of sheer ego. And how it is that I want to fulfill that in this life. Because the indication that I've been given is that I'm going to be visible in this life as Daniel in one form or another, as the past life regressionist, whatever it may be. But it's the higher self's way of showing me, like, you've messed up a couple times. You've let it get to your head a little bit too much. Or you haven't been responsible with the circumstances that you've been given in past lives. So it's that connecting theme of, it's about my life now, but how I want to proceed. And look, I'm going to be the first one to say that there's something very intoxicating about being in the spotlight, or when I experienced it in those lives. And there was a life that I saw where I was someone who was well known in the area that I was living in, but I was the kind of guy that would throw on a cloak and walk with my head down through the town square because I didn't want that attention. Whereas there was another life where I was wearing a cloak and I would take it off to walk through the town square because it's like, hey, everyone, look at me.
Yeah.
You know my name. Come and tell me how cool I am.
Yeah.
So it's like the higher self's way of showing me that I have a choice in this life. And in all honesty, I mean, I even said this after I came out of the first session where I believe this happened, was I hope that I can find a middle ground, because I didn't like those 2 options. I didn't like the extreme of the one where I just walked with my head down. I see the appeal of it. And I didn't like the extreme of how big my ego was in the other one. What's interesting with the big ego one, I'm pretty much shown that one every time now. But when they come in contrast, it's a revolving door of other lives that are measured up against that one. Because that's the one where they're telling me, like, you messed up. Like, you really let it get to
Just
your head.
want to let you know.
Yeah. So if you're not getting it yet, we're going to keep hammering it to you. So it's like the higher self knows. And that's the beauty of this process is, like I tell people, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm just the guy who facilitates a space where you can receive the information. Then it's up to you what you choose to do with it. So for me in this situation, I can see where I've strayed in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And now I have the opportunity to rectify that with the information that I've been given. And I'm grateful for receiving that information, because I don't think I will ever be that guy into the extreme of what he was. But had I not had this heads up, I may have let it get out of control. So, like, that's how the higher self knows how to really weave it together in a way that's pertinent to your life now, or giving you the heads up of what's to come.
Yeah.
And yeah, so let's talk about some other cool experiences that you've had. What else comes up for you? Gets hard, right? Once you have like this whole big like buffet to pick from.
Yeah. Oh yes, it came back. See? Okay. So this woman, she regressed to another life as she was a being on this other planet. I'm not sure if it was of this solar system or another galaxy or whatever. I'm not sure, but another planet. And there was this whole civilization there, and they had a city that was developed on this planet. But she kind of came onto the scene and she was in a panic right away. She was like, to get something. And so we kind of went through the scenes just to figure out what's going on here, and came to that she was in charge. She had this role to play where she was she needed to find information to bring to these other people to help save this planet, because apparently this planet was facing its end very quickly, very soon. But there was these solar flares were happening, and they had started just as these smaller flares that were just, increasing the temperature or radiation, and they were starting to get worse and more intense. And she was in charge of finding this information. I think it was some sort of object that they were trying to find that would help them and help these people and protect them in some way. I can't remember all the details about that, like particularly, but there was this whole group of people and she was one of these people looking for this information. So yeah, she came onto the scene. She was panicking, looking for this information. And I brought her to the place where she was going to these people she was bringing this information to. And it was like in this weird library. She was bringing this stuff to, this information. And as she was in there, outside, she could see this, or I don't think she saw it. She just was in the library conversing. And then as she came out of the library, the whole city, the whole community was just wiped out, like totally just like destruction right all around her. And like a few minutes before, it was all fine. Everything was fine. So these people that had just come out of this library were just like in total distress, of course. Their whole town has just died right in front of them here. And she just kept saying while she was in the hypnosis, like, we were too late. We couldn't figure it out. She was devastated, like clearly devastated. So this planet had been totally wiped. Like that was the ending of this story, not a happy ending. This planet had been totally wiped from this. And, I can't remember exactly what the connection was to her current life, but it had something to do with, like, she was having feelings from this past life, this scene, like in her current life, like as though she needs to save, that's what it was. She felt like she needed to save people in her current life. Like it was like her priority, she needs to save people. And this had come from that life where she was trying to find this information to save her people so they wouldn't all die. And they ended up all being wiped out. And that feeling had just carried over. So that was an awesome session. I love that one. It was like just a roller coaster of like, wow, whoa, wow. So yeah, that was a cool one.
You see, people, this is what you can do. You could be sitting on the other side of this as a practitioner, and it's really cool. You see how Asia and I had trouble thinking of an example? It's not because they're not examples. It's because there's so many that we're just like, oh, yeah. Yeah, even while Asia was talking, I was like, oh, yeah, I did have one with aliens 3 days ago. Like, oh, yeah. Like, it's so cool. So, yes, become a practitioner if you want to, whatever that may be. It's so, so cool. This is what you could be doing. So that was my weird, excited scream. I didn't want to be shrill. Okay, so now on to the more serious side of it. Okay. Asia, the Quantum Canadian. What has being a practitioner taught you about life?
It's really helped me to learn, like, there's always more to the story, and that can be applied in so many different ways. But personally, in my life, that applies to just my interactions with other people. If someone's having a negative reaction or lashing out or really sad, that there's more to this emotion than what they're releasing right now. There's deeper parts, and you can be there with them by just listening and giving them the space to go there with themselves. So that's really changed my view on people, I guess, like doing this hypnosis, sitting with people in the interview and hearing their stories in life. And then also in the hypnosis, hearing the things that are happening in past lives. Just key thing is just listening to what they're saying. And every client I have, it's like, there's always something that I'm like, we are the same, Like, I hear you right now. We are the same. And I feel more connected to people in my everyday life now. And that's been really amazing. Like, it has changed my life.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So for anyone who hasn't gone through a session, what we do first in the pre-session is we get your life story.
Mm-hmm.
We go over not every little nitty-gritty detail, but we'll go from birth until today to understand who you are in this life. That way we understand what we're seeing as practitioners when patterns pop up in past lives. So like why that's really cool for me is because I get to know someone's life story. And then I get to see where they've been in past lives. Mm-hmm. So like how that's affected me in life is like when I started playing chess, I started seeing the world differently because of the way that the chess pieces interacted with each other. So while I'd be walking through life, I would see these pieces moving. And it made me look at life through a much more strategic lens in terms of planning out my next steps because I was really seeing 10 steps ahead. Then as a practitioner, I now understand everyone on a deeper level. At least I believe that I do. So just like Asia was saying, that extra layer of added compassion in a sense. I may not know where wounds are with people or where they stem from, but I'm much better at spotting them now. Mm-hmm. Which still, I feel, adds that extra added layer of compassion because I can just recognize, oh, this person's acting from a very wounded place. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's from this life or past lives, but it's probably from both. But whatever it may be, it's a wound. So I feel a lot of people are very good at hiding those wounds. Mm-hmm. I don't think they can really hide them from us, though.
Well, yeah.
And so it's helped me in that respect because I was more keen on jumping to frustration when it came to dealing with people beforehand because I wasn't acting from a place of as much understanding. I tried to still approach it with as much compassion and empathy as I could, but I was limited in my ability to do that because I wasn't able to see things from a different perspective like I am now as a practitioner because I don't know about you, but I feel like when I sit down with someone, I know more about them than most people in their lives know about them because of what they share with us. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful to see how open and vulnerable people are willing to be. And when it's in that atmosphere, still, I feel that if you have the ability to take it out into the world, it's acknowledging people you don't even know and seeing them out in the world. And it may just even be giving them a look of like, hey, everything's going to be okay. Like, I got you. Like, I don't know you, but I got you. Yeah. And it could change their life. So it's more than just us being facilitators of time travel, which sounds so cool to say it. We understand people on a much deeper level. And so I don't want to make that as an overgeneralization or generalization for all practitioners.
Right. Yeah.
But the ones who have the awareness, we get it. And it's just a great tool to have in your interactions with everyone. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just love what you said about we're more than just time travelers here. That's something I love to reference to when I'm telling people about what I do, is not just saying, yeah, I do past life regression. That's it. It can be much deeper than that. It can be as deep as you're willing to go with yourself. If you're willing to go to that level, then it can go to that level, and it can be life transforming. And that's what I love about this. It's like you can have these profound changes in your life just from being open about what you're feeling, what you're going through with another person. That person kind of acts as a reflection or a reflector back at you. You know, I just say this from my own experience, my own sessions, even when I'm speaking and saying these things I'm dealing with, going through, thinking about, it's like all of a sudden it makes sense now that I've said it out loud. Oh, okay, that's actually, I just said that totally makes sense why I'm feeling that way now. I had that in, I think it was my own personal session recently, was just some things I wasn't totally sure on, and just talking about them with the practitioner, and it was almost like I didn't even need the hypnosis. I was like, I feel like I've just figured it all out now. So thank you for just holding this space for me. And yeah, I love being on the other side of that, offering that for people as well. It's awesome.
It's so cool.
Yes, so cool.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I guess like we talked about earlier, if you're younger, you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, to look at yourself, look at what you want in your life, see if you can, what do you like about life? What do you want about life? Just look in yourself and don't try to find your answers from the world. Don't try to find out what you're supposed to be doing here from what other people are doing here. You know, you have to make that for yourself, and you can do that. You can live the life you want to live, and let me and Daniel be your proof for that. You can live the life you want to live.
I think that's great advice for someone of any age.
Yeah, I was gonna wrap that in there too. Anyone age, any age you are, you can live that life.
Thank you so much for coming on today. This has been amazing.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You know, I want to have you on again. I'm just going to say it now. So if you're open to it, I'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, totally. I would totally up for that.
Where can everyone reach you?
You can find me on pretty much every social media at the Quantum Canadian. So Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, even the Quantum Canadian. That's my user.
Do you have a website?
Yes, my website is also thequantumcanadian.ca. You can just type that in the Google search bar, thequantumcanadian.ca.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being here. And yeah, just cheers to the future.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you, Daniel.
You're very welcome. Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at the Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.